Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to another video of the Legendary Encounters series. Today it is going to be HMS Dreadnought versus USS South Carolina. No, not that South Carolina, the old one. The Dreadnought-esque one. I learned quite a bit about these ships, and I actually didn't expect that as a side benefit of this series. So I'm going to, for this video, incorporate some of the things that I found interesting about both ships. There will be chapters in the video, so if you want to skip past this and go straight to the battle, then you can. I've already pre-designed both of the ships because it takes quite a bit of research, quite a bit of figuring out what goes where and how the ship is supposed to look. And as you're looking at these ships in the game, please keep in mind it is a game, it is not a simulator. I'm working within the confines of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, and that is version currently 1.04. Starting with HMS Dreadnought. What struck me about Dreadnought when I looked into her was how quickly she was built. She was laid down, so the keel was laid on October 2nd, 1905. She was commissioned on December 2nd, 1906. So that's about 14 months later. That is very fast. The latest Dutch warships, or at least the current frigates that we have, they take 4 years to build each. And yes, they are probably a whole bunch more advanced, or at least I would hope so, than what you're looking at here. But using the technology that they had in 1905 to go from a laydown of October 2nd, 1905 to being launched on February 10th, 1906. So that's 4 months. And then commissioned about 14 months after her keel was laid down. That is very fast. The ship sadly did not have a particularly long life. She was only in commission for about 13 years, as in February 1919 she was decommissioned. And 2 years later, in May 1921, she was sold for scrap, sadly. Now when you look at the displacement, it is currently 21,060 tons. For a ship this era, she is remarkably quick at 21 knots. Now, don't look at the range too much. It is not really a factor that is going to be important in this battle. Coal-fired engines, turbines, and that is one of her revolutionary features. Because these steam turbines are going to allow the ship to be faster. Especially faster than her counterpart, the South Carolina. One of the things that I struggled with in this game is to get rid of the 4-weight offset. It means that the bow is heavier than the stern. I cannot really move this turret much further back without causing issues with the turret not being able to turn. These things are pretty much, well, they're pretty much locked in by the parts that are sewn out of the hull. This one is stuck. The only way that I could get some offset reduced, otherwise we'd be going into yellow territory as it's plus 10%. Is by using this tower. But this tower is not what the ship was supposed to have. Letting a ship, however, leave the dock with a weight offset of, let's say, more than 10 to 15% is something I don't want to do. And then she has one turret, which officially is sitting way too far back. Sadly, this is something that, well, because of this larger tower, has to be done. And also, if I would push it further forward, if I install a smaller rear tower, the 4-weight offset would be even worse. Something else that I struggled in this game was putting her secondary armament on the ship. Because the ship is supposed to have a pretty serious secondary armament of 27 single 12-pounder or 3-inch guns. Where are you going to leave those? I believe that Dreadnought initially, or originally, had those barbettes built into the hull. Because you could have, casemates, not barbettes, casemates. This hull, although I believe it to be the right hull for the Brits, does not have that. So I don't have anywhere near the amount of casemates that she is supposed to have. What I do have is an underwater surprise. This goes for 3 torpedo tubes. Port, starboard, and stern. These are 18-inch torpedo tubes, and, well, they can hit pretty hard for this era. 400 damage in an era where I believe ships barely, if any, had a torpedo armament or a torpedo belt, means that these torpedoes can hit pretty hard. Considering her displacement, 21,060 tons is when she is under deep load. It's not something that I think includes the torpedo belt. I mean, I have currently a bit of space available, as it were. If I were to drop a torpedo belt on that, maybe. But nowhere could I really find a whole lot about what sort of torpedo protection she had. So I'm not sure if she was ever designed to have something like that. Now, as I found it, the ship was historically designed to take on other battleships, but in her day saw extremely little action. As it says here, ironically for a vessel designed to engage enemy battleships, her only significant action was the ramming and sinking of German submarine U-29, becoming the only battleship confirmed to have sunk a submarine. By ramming, not by using her pretty elegant 12-inch guns. So, yeah, a battleship defeating a submarine, not using guns. Anyway, that is the Dreadnought. Link down below in the description for more about her. Moving on to the South Carolina. The South Carolina is one of those older battleships that still uses the cage mast. Now, in this game we have a couple of different ones. We have two large ones and a medium. Based on the height that I could figure out from the designs that were available, I think the medium cage mast 3 is the right one. But correct me in the comments by all means if you think that that is entirely wrong. I just think that using the large cage mast is not quite right. It doesn't seem like the right fit for this ship. She also has the medium cage mast 2 as a second cage mast. Now, South Carolina is markedly slower than Dreadnought at 18.5 knots, and she has less displacement of 17,500 as opposed to the 21,060. Let's not give her maximum bulkheads. What I found with this ship is that it is extremely difficult to get it balanced. And, well, I can move this turret back a little bit, but it barely registers. It goes from 21.9 to 21.6 or 21.7. It's really not worth it. Pushing this turret out as far as I can is just going to make it look stupid, and that still does not fix the offset. Sadly, because I would like this thing not to have such a large detriment to its accuracy, which is something that the ship will have. When it comes to historical facts, the South Carolina was laid down in 18 December 1906, launched quite a bit later, July 11th, 1908. So it took her far longer to get launched, and then commissioning was March 1910. So she took about 3 years and 3 months to finally make it into service. And she too had a pretty short service life of only 11 years. But keep in mind that developments in this day and age were happening so fast that the ship probably was going to be obsolete pretty quick anyway. The ship has a triple expansion engine, or rather she has 2 triple expansion steam engines. Considering I don't exactly know whether that's the 1 or the 2, I'm going to go with the multiple expansion steam engine 2 for this game. She also had an auxiliary petrol engine from what I was able to find. And I gave both her and the Dreadnought anti-flood 2 and an armored citadel. When it comes to rate of fire, she has a rate of fire of 1.86 rounds a minute, which is as close as I could get to what I was able to find, which is the rate of fire of 2 rounds per minute. Now, with the South Carolina 2, I have the problem of secondary armament. I just cannot fit it on the ship. There are not really enough mounting spots for it. So she's supposed to have a lot of 3-inch guns. I mean, leave it to the Americans to plaster their ships with guns. But in this game, I could fit these guns, the 8 singles, 3s that is, in casemates. And then these as, well, just basically deck guns. Beyond that, come on. Beyond that, I cannot find any spots. Nothing works. The game doesn't allow you to put them anywhere. Yeah, here maybe. But, well, in this situation, they're not really going to matter anyway. Because these guys are going to duke it out at long range. A problem that I do see with this ship... let's upgrade the propellant. Because I don't think she had this. But finding out what propellant and what shell charge a ship had of this era is difficult. If you have a great resource for that, by all means, let me know down below in the comments. This 4 weight offset could be a very big problem for this ship. And, well, her armor is okay at 12 inch, 9 inch, 9 inch, 2.5, 1.5, 1.5. Deck is not really going to matter for this type of encounter. But, well, the conning tower is supposed to have more armor. It's supposed to have, I believe, 12 inches of armor. It just doesn't want to accept it. I can try and override it, but the game goes, nope. Nope, we're not doing that. You're going back to 7.8. Apparently, that's the maximum armor that this particular cage mast can hold. So, that's the ships. Let's see how they perform in battle. Let's see how these ships perform in a battle. They both have a similar amount of broadside. Both can bring 8 12-inch barrels to bear on the enemy. Although, of course, the starboard wing turret, in this case of the Dreadnought, would be useful, but cannot fire. The South Carolina, looking much more like a battleship that we know, simply has barbettes and uses all of her barrels and no wing turrets. The South Carolina's disadvantage is her speed, because she cannot go as quickly as Dreadnought can. Dreadnought can do 21 knots, and most likely will, because the AI simply does not use full speed. So she's going to have to duke it out at full speed, and that means that Dreadnought can determine the engagement range, when and where they fight. It's not really going to matter that much, because the Dreadnought, I think with her 3-knot advantage, is not really going to be able to keep herself, for example, in front of the USS South Carolina, where she would only face 4 barrels as opposed to 8. Now, getting the first hit could take a while with these ships, because their accuracy is about 2.8%. Oh, or not. The South Carolina took the first damage, but, well, looks like a flesh wound. 43 damage. Nothing too serious. South Cal and Dreadnought have the same level of reload at 1.86. And I give both of these guys, by the way, just standard crew. Just normal levels of crew. Again and again, the South Carolina gets hit without scoring any kind of damage on Dreadnought. But there she goes. Dreadnought just took her first hit. Well, it was a partial pen. It wasn't too bad. Let's slow this down a notch. Here comes another salvo from South Carolina, and yeah, that seemed to fall just short. A bunch of splashes there, but no damage to Dreadnought. As opposed to South Carolina, which is on fire. The range is definitely shortening, and the accuracy with that is going up. South Carolina is unable to pen Dreadnought. At least bow and stern, yes. Belt, not so much. Even though the Dreadnought is pretty much broadside, and thereby showing nice, fairly flat armor on her main armor belt. Dreadnought is having similar issues. She is going to be fairly unable to damage South Carolina unless she gets closer. With her 12-inch guns, let's say we're going to close to 5 kilometers, which we are pretty close to, she can pen 20.9 inches of armor. South Carolina has a 12-inch armor belt, 9-inch fore and 9 aft, plus 88% armor quality. So that's a pretty hefty bonus. And that means that the closer she gets, the more likely she is to go right through that 20-ish inch armor belt, the 12-inch plus the 88% quality boost. But the same can be said for the South Cal. And the Dreadnought, yep, Dreadnought is now fragile. She is vulnerable. The entire belt is now fair game. It's just the deck armor that South Carolina cannot pen. And South Carolina just dinged off of the, I think, the side plating of Dreadnought. Is she turning? No, she's not turning yet. A lot of this stuff bounces. Ooh, Dreadnought is starting to take some hits. And with her angle, South Carolina is proving to be pretty invulnerable to the shell fire from the Dreadnought. If they keep this up, they're going to be at potentially ramming distance pretty soon. 4.7. Dreadnought, what are you doing? The Dreadnought is so flat, so fully broadside, that she is exposing her weakest side. And the South Carolina is taking full advantage of it. Finally, we get a flooding hit on the South Carolina, though. If you get close enough, that belt's going to be a problem. And it looks like the South Carolina also has another problem. There's a torpedo coming at her from Dreadnought, but she has a pretty good turning circle of only 234 meters. The Dreadnought should be somewhat similar. Yeah, 361. South Carol also has torpedoes. She has port and starboard launchers. They're supposed to be 21-inch. The game didn't allow it. The game only allowed me 19-inch as the biggest torpedo tube. Let's see. I have no idea where the torpedo from South Carolina went. But it could definitely... Well, it could definitely. That's a bit of a weird sentence. It could very well prove a problem for Dreadnought, especially as she has a damaged engine. And it looks like that compartment is flooding, which means that it might not come back online. South Carolina also has a couple of fires that she's probably pretty worried about, especially since they are in her magazine area. Oh, exactly that is why South Carolina is probably concerned about that fire, because now the whole ship is burning up. If this fire continues, it could consume the ship. Because they're worried about both fires and floodings. And I think that the damage control parties are a little overwhelmed. Interestingly, despite the massive amount of damage to the South Carolina, she has only lost 20% of her crew. Could have been a lot worse. Now, Dreadnought is still hurting. She has all her engines out of commission. She is still flooding in various compartments. But comparatively, she is doing better than South Carolina. South Carolina, however, is not done damaging Dreadnought. Again, there's a couple more hits in. And hits the Dreadnought with a torpedo. Oh dear. Range is now 4.4 kilometers. South Carolina got her flooding under control. Structural integrity is holding at 32%. Dreadnought, 34% buoyancy. Seemingly still affected by one of these floodings. Yeah, dropping. Structural integrity, 43%. These guys are going to duke it out. And it looks like there's no clear winner just yet. Dreadnought's stern looks like it's very heavy. I think the damage model is a bit faulty here. Because the majority of her water, at least according to the schematic, is amidships, not on her stern. Yet the stern seems to be most of the time just submerged. Which, I'm no naval expert, but if your deck is flooded, I suppose that the water is also kind of coming through there. South Carolina takes another beating. No. No, barely any damage. Look at that scorched barbette over there. South Carolina can only bring 6 barrels to bear, if she can. Although this one looks a little sad. Looks like it's fully depressed into the water. Undaunted, South Carolina pushes on and maintains her barrage on Dreadnought, but inflicts no damage. Fire and a couple of ricochets. Now the 3-inch guns from Dreadnought are firing, but the 3-inch guns from South Carolina, interestingly, are not. Dreadnought, however, might have a different issue to worry about. But potentially by virtue of all of her engines being out, and knocked out after the torpedo was launched, she is too slow to catch the torpedo. And it looks like it's going to sail well clear of her bow. 30% structural on South Carolina. 37% structural on Dreadnought. Buoyancy 32, buoyancy 26. This can go either way, guys. Place your bets down below in the comments. Who's going to win this? Is it Dreadnought or is it South Carolina? Ooh, 2 more instances of flooding on South Carolina. Our buoyancy is dropping to 20%. The way that the ship floods, by the way, is something that's going to change in a future patch. Because currently, if you hit a compartment that's already flooded, you basically inflict no further flooding. That's going to change. So that if you hit a flooded compartment, it's going to continue the flooding and make it worse. Causing the water to potentially rise up. At least that is my understanding from the patch notes. Dreadnought could be dead here. She has another couple of instances of flooding. She's going nowhere. And both ships have torpedoes in the water. There's an incoming torpedo on Dreadnought and an incoming torpedo in South Carolina. But neither ship have either rudder control or propulsion. And that could mean sudden death. Dreadnought floods 18%, 16%, 15, 12, 5%. I think she might die before that torpedo even gets... Yep, she dies. And South Carolina wins. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, it was suggested that I do 2 rounds. Initially, with the previous video, I did a round which was long range and short range. I'm now going to do, considering long range doesn't really matter for these ships, I'm now going to do the same battle and manually control the Dreadnought to see if I can pull off a different result. She did far less damage to the South Carolina than she received. That was a serious discrepancy. She received twice the amount of floodings, but far fewer fires. Of course, having your turret blown off is not really going to look that good in South Carolina, but it is, as it's shown, survivable. Let's retry. And now I'll be in command of the Dreadnought. Range 11 kilometers out. Okay, we're going to turn starboard. We're not going to launch torpedoes just yet. South Carolina is heading away from Dreadnought, but turning around and bringing all of her guns to bear for a full broadside. For now, I'm going to try going bow in. I don't mind if I use a few turrets as opposed to my full broadside. Because I want to try and close the distance and then find a good position using that 21 knot speed that I can get up to. And the ship has enough engine efficiency to do it. Considering the angle, we're not that likely to get a good pen on the South Carolina, so for now I'm just going to fire some high explosive and see if I can slowly do some damage to their ship. It doesn't have to be too serious just yet. Let's see, based on the angle... Yeah, I got the A turret and one of the wing turrets. The rest of them not yet available. 8.4 kilometers out. I'm going to get a full ID first before I load the AP and try to get a pen. I want to see the stats on that ship. There. Whoa! That was a funnel pen for 170 damage. That's going to knock down the engine efficiency. Dreadnought also took a hit, but far less damage. .4 kilometers. There's the South Cal fully identified. 15% chance to pen. Yikes. In reverse? Probably not that good. For me. 37.6% chance to pen. Although it is dropping slightly. Let's continue doing some damage to the South Carolina. Using high explosive. While she continues to try and do damage with armor piercing. Chance to pen is terrible. Neither of these ships have a torpedo tube in the bow, so if we're going to turn broadside, that's the only way I can get the starboard torpedo launcher off. Hit. Did not set a fire, interestingly. You'd think that 12-inch high explosive would set a fire, but it didn't. Okay. I now have about 30 seconds to do a full turn. And we're going to load armor piercing. Because at this angle, I might be able to get a hit. And hopefully I can do my turn and drop my torpedo. There we go. Before the South Carolina gets to reload. And gets a flat broadside off of my starboard side. Yeah, not quite. She did get the pen. I wonder, does she know about this little gift package that I sent her? This little care package. I think she does not. She does now. But these torps, relative to the ships, are fast. These things travel at 41.6 knots, and it looks like South Carolina is not able to dodge. Whereas I am perfectly capable of dodging their torpedo. And it hits. 606 damage and 3 compartments are flooding. I already have another torpedo in the water. I kind of doubt this one will hit. Oh, she's turning. That's good. It's still that the accuracy or the chance to pen is pretty poor. We're going to stick with high explosive for a little while. She lost a lot of buoyancy to that torpedo. She won't do that again, as this torpedo is going to go somewhere completely different. I'm kind of jockeying for position here, and I don't really mind my position behind the South Carolina, because it means she can only bring 2 of her guns to bear, 2 of her turrets. So we're going to go broadside, turning starboard and slowing down to full speed to boost the accuracy to max. And continue to pepper the ship, hopefully knocking out the rudder. I might take a hit. That's the cost of doing business here. There you go. Destroyed the second funnel and causing 4 fires. 5 fires. I know the South Carolina does not have a stern torpedo tube. She has port and starboard. So she is not that capable of fighting back under this current angle. Positioning with the speed of the Dreadnought is proving critical. And even if South Carolina is able to get her engines back online, which I doubt, she's not going to be able to speed up, not with 2 damaged funnels. Sorry, destroyed funnels, in fact. Let's slow down a couple of knots. Yeah, this ship is getting whacked. The A turret is functional, but the B turret's been destroyed. The stern cage mast has been destroyed, leading to a substantial loss of accuracy. They did manage to very closely dodge that torpedo. My secondary tower has also been destroyed now. Chance to pen is still less than 20%. Just maintain high explosive fire then. That was my torpedo tube. She is still burning. Flooding on the bow of the Dreadnought. Go on. Good hit. Good hit. I'm trying to get more fires going on the ship, but the South Carolina seems very, very adept at putting those fires out. More hits. 25%, 22% structural. Just blowing this thing apart using armor piercing. My chance to pen is still terrible, but the high explosive doesn't care. Their chance to pen me is about even. Few percentages off. Sorry, a few percents off, but not that bad. But that is bad. They have destroyed the main tower, and with that, my accuracy is going to be a bit less. Now, South Carolina is basically stationary. That gives me opportunities to use the torpedo launchers. Doink. Another hit. Yeah, you're down to 18%. Let's turn full to port. I know it's going to open me up to another attack. Yeah, that was already gone. Don't matter. I hope the starboard torpedo launcher is still functional, but I'm not exactly sure. Ooh, 14%. Structural integrity is falling. My torpedo launcher is not functional. Although I cannot... Oh, actually, yeah, there it is. Oh, no! This time it's Dreadnought that gets a flash fire. My whole ship is on fire. And I get a second flash fire. Oh, this is pretty bad news for Dreadnought. And a third! And Dreadnought sinks to extensive fire. Oh, that attempt to get the torpedoes away probably killed me. 4,500 damage done. 7,000 damage taken. Ouch. So, the victory goes to the South Carolina. 2 straight wins. Good match. By the way, don't look at the crew training here. I know for a fact that I put both of the ships to have regular crew, so don't look at this, it's not accurate. Anyway, that concludes our Dreadnought versus South Carolina battle. If you have any requests for future battles, let me know down below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you had fun watching this. I look forward to doing more of these, and the next one is going to be coming up tomorrow. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon for the next one.